Probably just me. Yeah, okay. Oh, sweet, thank you. That's so nice of you. Um, yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this in the living room, but I thought the office was better because uh, I have lighting tricks. Oh, thank you. Um, yeah, I was really funnily, I was editing videos this week and realized that depending on the lighting, either I have lips or I have no lips. So I decided it would be a good idea to have lips if I was going to be talking a lot. Um, and I am currently working with an absolutely gorgeous yarn. Let me see if I can do this without dropping my stitches. I don't know if it looks like neon lights in person. Like it looks, there we go. Yeah, there's a black background to it that makes it really pretty. You can never go wrong with a red lip. Mostly reds, a couple of pinks. Uh, I did an orange lip for a while and I really liked it, but I need it super saturated and it's hard to find. Which it doesn't seem like it should be that hard to find, but I don't know. I guess other people don't like to look like they're wearing orange peels. But how are you? Did you do anything over the last couple of weeks? We did Christmas here and then have spent the last week and a half not knowing what day it is. So one of those classic, the week after Christmas does not actually exist and I don't know who invented it. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're not terribly far from us, I guess. I mean, because we're in Pittsburgh, and did we drive through? Hold on. I know we drive through West Virginia, but we might have been on the western half of West Virginia. Um, yep. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful drive. We went to see family in North Carolina for Thanksgiving. Okay, so you're like right there, yeah. It was yeah, it was a really good drive down, and then on the way back we hit two different, like, the accidents were all cleared up, but traffic was still a mess, and so what should have been 7 hours turned into 9 hours, and we were trying to get home in time to get the dog, which we did, but I'm just like, I just want to be home right now. I'm so done. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, so you were just right there on the line. Is it one of those things, is your town like technically part of it is in Virginia? Or do Virginia and West Virginia not do that to each other? I spent part of my childhood just outside of Joplin, Missouri, between Missouri and Kansas, and so technically crossing took you into Kansas. Oh, hey. And then of course I went to I lived in Missouri for a little while, and you've got Kansas City and Kansas City. Oh, that's interesting. Pixelating and breaking up. Let me close a few things. That might be me. Might also be that I'm upstairs and the router is downstairs, or the modem, or whatever kids are using these days to make the internet run. But we're supposed to have super excellent internet, so. Ooh, hold on. I just realized Sean might be streaming, which could be giving us the hiccups. have asked. Yeah, we've got, I don't know, a couple of inches of snow here. I'm not really sure how much. It's just been cold and damp. He may be my problem then. Honey, I need the internet. That's not how you spell it. Hold on. Oh wow, yeah, it's been cold here. Like it's supposed to be like 40 on Monday, which is good because then it's going to rain and get everything out, which I think is really what we need. See, I don't like when the weather does that because that's where the bronchitis comes in. Just too damn cold all at once. Or the other direction, it gets too damn hot. Yeah, I have friends in hey Annette. I have friends in Minnesota who have just been going through it with what the winter weather is doing there. Absolutely dreadful. Do not recommend. We are being very very conscientious and speaking about the weather as you do while I work on a sweater. And I linked the sweater in the description, like to the pattern if anybody wants it. And this is a side-to-side sweater, so this shorter piece here is actually the sleeve on one side. I actually looked at going to grad school in Michigan, and it is a terrible idea for me. No, this one is actually from 2008. It's from Interweave Crochet, but it has kind of a vintage vibe. It's the big bow cardigan, so there's like buttons down the front, and as it says, a big bow. I do have. Are both things downstairs right now vintage? Yeah. So I have 2 buckets downstairs that are a 1930s dress. Like, oh wait, I think I can share my screen so I can show you guys. If I don't pixelate terribly badly. Hold on. Making sure I don't have anything embarrassing in my tabs. Oh, I can pick it. That's even better. Okay. Things I'm learning. So this is, yeah, okay. Oh, excellent. Thanks, Trish. So this is the big bow cardigan. That's the one I'm working on, the one on the left. And then I'm working on, oh, this one's open right now. This is one from Free Vintage Crochet. And I ended up buying the book because the yarn numbers weren't matching up. Oh, wait, you can't see that one. Sorry. So the second one here is from Free Vintage Crochet, and it's a really cute mitten and hood set. Hold on. Let me share that particular one. Here it is. All right. Yeah. And that is all Solomon knots around the edges, and it's star stitch on the hood itself, and then all Solomon knots around the edges. And the star stitch was actually not that bad once I got my groove going, but that Solomon knot just about took me out, because you do it around once on the whole hood, and then you add rows at the bottom of the hood, but you also increase on the second row. And so you're just doing more and more Solomon knots. It's so many. Yeah, I love it too because of kind of the glamour feeling of it. Um, it just very fluffy. And I'm using one of the Hobby Go Handmade vintage yarns. Like they have the skeins, which I think are like 90 yards, and then I'm using the hanks, which are like 200 something. This is in a 1940s booklet, but I would not be surprised if it is carried over from the 30s. Because all of that edge stuff feels very like the fascinators of the 40s, but like just before all you made was the big fluffy fascinator. But I really I took a break from it because I need to make the mittens next. But I wanted to take a little bit of a break from it before I had to do more Star Stitch and more Solomon knots. And then, hold on, I'm going to pull this one up. The sort of long-term plan one right now is to do this. Oh, and of course this one is scrolling up. Yeah. It is very Judy Garland to me too. The hood and the mittens, like one of her and Mickey running around. Before they turned the barn into a stage sort of thing again. But yeah, then this dress here is 1930s, and it's just mesh stitch all the way down. It is, but it's a twisted mesh stitch, so you work all the chains and then you drop it and then you come and then you pull it through the back of the loop to attach it. They all crisscross over each other. But this is going to be done in a really bright fuchsia because I am not rocking with any of these. There is no color of the year that I have seen this year that has made me happy. It's like I think I saw 2 khakis, of course, Pantone's Cloud Dancer, which keep it. And then the other colors I saw were like a couple of browns and a couple of sort of gray greens. And it's not that they're bad. They're just like, how about like a green or a blue? Yeah, I know. I am going to have to do some work on the hips on this one. But this pattern provides up to, I think, a vintage size 18, which is what my chest is. So, and then those sleeves, I can tell just by looking at them that you make them big and then you pull them in as sort of the last thing. So if I need to keep them a little looser, I can do that. But yeah, definitely going to be adding some space because I think a size 18 hip is like 36 or something. Yeah, probably just our internet being a little pitchy right now. And actually, this is good to know because that means next time I will probably set up downstairs right by the router so nothing can get away from me. Yeah, I love that neckline, and it's like frilly on top of everything. See, exactly. I was like, that's why I should do this before I actually, make people see it. Well, I mean, obviously I've invited you to come and see it, but like, I've set an actual date for when I'm going to start these on purpose. And I think they'll be fun. Saying you live in a hilly area in Pittsburgh doesn't actually narrow it down, but we do live in a hilly area and we have a tiny car. So one of the things we have been dealing with is we can't always leave the house when it snows. Thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I've always got a few projects going, so I'm just going to kind of rotate through them depending on which one I've worked on the least during the week. Where did I put? All right, I'll be right back. I have returned. Yeah. My very official way of keeping count of my rows. Just a good old post-it note. This sweater that I'm working on is all back loop only single crochet. So I don't want to lose track of the rows because it's the only thing I'll know where I am on. Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah. Like, just hoping the mountains will let it through this time. Yeah, we had. Well, it's dark, but because it's got the blue in it, it's easier to see. I can actually see the loops pretty clearly because the blue sits on top. Yeah, if I was doing this in black, I would not be having a good time. Yeah. Yeah, this is the Juniper Moon. It's cotton merino shadows. Hi, baby. And so they're all dyed so that they look two color. This is what it looks like scanned up. I do have. Trish says hi. Sean says hi. Yes, Sean. I do have a couple of 1940s dolls in the list for this year. I found it's a 1950 doll. It's her name is Jiffy Ann. It's another free vintage crochet find. And she looks so unsettling. I might make her and then send her to somebody with no warning that she's coming. Because I mean like that. Well, also when I say someone, one of my brothers, he knows what I'm like. I know, right? And she's such a classic doll. She's got just the mounds of yarn hair and a frilly dress because it's the 50s. It's actually one of the things I liked about Hazel is that she was in work clothes. So land army clothes is how I kind of took what her look was. Ponytail could be good. I mean, there'll be enough to do whatever with. I could, braid it or ponytail it. But yeah, I've got a whole collection of toys from the 1940s, and so there's a Humpty Dumpty in there. There's little horses. There is a 3 bears set that comes. You make Goldilocks with it, and the way they set it up for the photo looks like a crime scene. And it made me laugh so hard. Because they're supposed to be, oh, surprise, it's Goldilocks, but yeah, exactly. I have to try to count really quick because I think I forgot to write down a row. That's not right. All right. Well, if I'm a row off, I'm a row off. But I think I remember to write down that row. I love that. Get some orange construction paper, make little cones, turn it into a whole thing. But where would I put it? If I'm gonna do the crime scene, I need a place to display it. I want to make sure nobody misses it. The real ending to Goldilocks and the Three Bears is she did not make it out of that cabin, and she was delicious. Well, now I do know which booklet it's in, so hold on, let me see if I can actually find the photo, because I know I've actually got my patterns pretty organized when they're digital. My other patterns just sort of, the books are all in the same place, but I never quite remember which shelf they're on. Let me see. That's not the one I'm looking for. No. I always forget until I go into this corner of my drive how much of my stuff is individual copies of Crochet Today, because a bunch of them are on the Internet Archive, and I had a download spree. So, and now I don't see it. Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, I know what that is. That's my computer picks up my fan. My microphone picks up my fan. Yeah, I always forget about that because I don't use the webcam very often. The next time I go up, I'm probably going to go through my phone. Partly because the camera's a little bit better, but also like there were some rules about like doing it on mobile that I was like, I don't want to take the time to, make sure it's fine, because it's like, there's a limit to the number of people who can watch if you are on mobile and don't have, it was 1,000 subscribers. So to have the full use of going live on your phone, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. And I was like, I'll just get on my computer for this one. But yeah, that is great design choice. Whoever made my computer. I don't know. I'm curious about it too. I wonder if it's maybe to stop fraud. Like, it seems to me when you have a rule like that, like you can't just go live on your phone like that. Because I think it was any of your subscribers can join, but then you can only have 25 more people. And like, clearly I was not worried about the actual limit. I just wanted it to be as simple as possible tonight. But I would guess it's probably so you can't defraud a bunch of people at once really easily. Because that's what a lot of rules like that on the internet are for. It's harder to commit federal banking crimes if you have a smaller group of people. But also, I've never used the mobile app, so I don't know, if it's, yeah, maybe that's what it is. Like, if you could just have as many people as you wanted all at once without that number. So yeah, it could definitely be, I could see it being like, okay, we know our server can handle it at this level, so you have to meet us at this level in order to get this extra thing, so you don't have to be, so you can't do it from the app. I know, I use my laptop for everything. I do plenty of stuff on my phone, like, I use my phone to record my videos, but then all the editing happens on my laptop. I have never opened TikTok, and I've never, like, I know there are things, like, when I see stuff from people who I know edit exclusively on their phones, even through an app that they swear is super easy, I'm like, I'm doing this on a laptop where I can see my whole face the whole time. Don't forget to hydrate, kids. even in cold weather. Like, I love when people send me TikToks. Like, I like watching stuff that people like. I love B. Dylan Hollis, who is a TikTok guy, but then they all started also putting their stuff in YouTube Shorts. So before I ever decided if I wanted TikTok, I had a way to get to them. Yeah. And so, like, I'll watch TikToks. I just don't watch them on an app. And I rarely watch any sort of video on my phone because I'm just like, no. I don't need the ability to never stop scrolling through something. I get this, like, if I'm not careful some nights, I can get in YouTube Shorts and just not come up for like 3 hours. Yeah. So there are times where like I can't get on YouTube Shorts or nothing's getting done, and so like TikTok is like that times 10. So no, thank you. I have this, obviously, and then I have my Instagram that I try to remember to post things on, and that's what's left after years of sort of slowly moving away from social media. I think my Facebook was the first thing I kind of walked away from by accident. And then I had a Twitter for years, and then I was like, you know what, I need a break from Twitter. And then like after the break, I was like, kind of don't want to come back to Twitter. Like, I think I'm good. Yeah, and then of course the thing on TikTok is that its algorithm is super aggressive. So like if you watch, like say if you watch one video of me crocheting, you're going to get 30 other videos immediately of other people crocheting. And I watch commentary channels sometimes, and it's so funny when they're like, this is all over TikTok right now, this person being horrible and these people being terrible. I'm like, yeah, that's the algorithm. Unfortunately, when you hate watch on TikTok for your job, it does show you a lot more things to hate watch. And I find YouTube to not be as bad as that. But I also tend to queue up a whole bunch of documentaries on YouTube in my watch later and start the night that way, because then when I go to like the front page, it's just more documentaries I can choose from. What kind do you watch? Like, do you have like a type, a style, a period of history? Yeah, I am way into history documentaries. I got into World War II at like 13. Yeah. And so like I'm always hunting out, and like once you learn enough about a particular moment in history, even if it's only like one facet of World War II, you end up then going, well, I'm going to watch this about the Depression because the Depression influenced that. And well, then I'm going to watch this thing about the 1950s because that was the post-war. And then you're just like down a rabbit hole into details about like the Falklands War that you never knew that you cared about. To be fair, I haven't watched the Falklands War documentary yet. I do have it saved, though. But yeah, like I also love the like lighthearted British documentaries that are like, this is what it was like to do this job 100 years ago, and it's it's informative, but it's a little goofy. Tony, his name might actually be Tony Robbins. Oh no! my mother's birthday party when she was little had to be canceled because of the sudden end to JFK's presidency, let's say. Yeah, I don't know what I honestly don't know what YouTube does and does not allow one to say or spell out on live. Yeah. Like, my mother remembers it happening partly because her birthday party got canceled, and she was it her? Let me do math. Hold on. I think it would have been her 5th birthday. So, like, kind of that first big birthday. And like, that's one of those things that fascinates me because of the conspiracy theory around it. Her birthday is a few days before, but that was the weekend. So she was supposed to have this party on the weekend. I think there might have been a sleepover involved, and then they had to can the whole thing because, well, yeah, things had happened. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I imagine when you come into the world at basically the exact moment a massive event like that happens, it's something that can very easily fascinate you. Like, I don't know what was going on my birthday when I was born. I should look that up, actually. I do wonder. I mean, I'll tell you, I was an end of 82 baby, so who knows what was going on. I was supposed to be a beginning of 83 baby, but I got impatient and showed up early. Waking up from the twilight sleep. Oh, I cannot imagine. Like, you go on, you do the same delivery that everybody does at the time, where you get the real good stuff, so you're not really there while it's happening. You come to, you have a new human, and also, a shocking twist in American politics. Oh my God, that's... like, I found out recently, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, the Zapruder film really gets, held up as like the proof, and it's like, once you, it's like a little bit of research into like how things were actually laid out and stuff. What happened exactly as it looked like it happened. Although I understand wanting to go into conspiracy theory because it can be easier to create a fiction of events to understand the event you have just seen. But yeah, my personal favorite conspiracy theory, because it is not in any way serious, is it is hogwash. Is that birds aren't real, which is a conspiracy theory someone came up with as a joke. And so it's birds aren't real. They're all like tiny robots run by the government. But I find it to be delightful to imagine. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I love this idea that, like, somewhere in a lab, not only did they come up with birds, like, as an entity on their own, but then they make sure to have a bunch of different types that all made a bunch of different sounds. like the mad science that it implies is a delight to me. That are her little tippy tappy toes, but I guess Bean is going to stay downstairs. But God. So I assume you've seen Buzz Aldrin punch that guy, right? Because like that's one of the greatest things to ever happen. Is that moon landing denialist? Yeah, it's like every photo we have, it's round. Literally every photo we have. We figured out through the light bending in it was Egypt or Greece, I don't remember now. That the world was round. (1950s) science fiction, like the cheap movies, are really great for like wacky Earth theories. And like wacky, what are we going to find on other planets? But because they had no budget, it's just an animatronic dinosaur that looks like a dinosaur. Is it First Spaceship? No, it's not that. It's called King Dinosaur. I think it's the 1950s. I think that's the one where they inexplicably, like, they land on a planet and it has a giant dinosaur, but then also they end up adopting a lemur. It's a very special one. Yeah. It's, I think, pretty sure that's Burt I. Gordon. He was kind of a schlock king in the 50s, and he was known for doing, like, composite shots to make it look like you were getting overrun by giant grasshoppers, and using just regular-sized insects on postcard images so it looked like they were crawling up buildings. And I really like his work because if you sit down and you sort of work your way through his filmography, he gets better and better at it. And his scripts improve as well. And so that he has a couple that are like genuinely kind of unsettling and weird. There's one called Tormented about a dude who removes a former girlfriend from his life, and then she haunts him the rest of the movie, and there's like a bunch of different times that like he hallucinates just her head, and he picks the head up off the table and it still talks to him, and like so stuff like that. Oh yeah. Yeah. I stumbled into some Who's Line clips from the 90s, the American version with Drew Carey, a few days ago, and I was like, ooh, you can keep this. Yeah, there you go. Get that good schlock sci-fi going through your algorithm. Clean things out a little bit. Well, and it's fun too because they always want, a love interest in those movies, but she's always a doctor or a scientist or a reporter because they need to give her a job to be there. And so, like, treated in the style of, a 1950s lady in a movie. So, she screams and runs and that sort of thing. But also, like, to be there, she has to be pretty smart. All right. I'm coming up on the end of this row. Oh, yeah, when you got everybody in their finest. Oh, love stuff like that. Like, old match games, they're always dressed up real nice. when I graduated grad school, this was 12 years ago now, my first job after grad school, I had a number of people the entire time I worked there, and I worked at the same place for like 4 years, that kept assuming I must be my boss's assistant because I sat next to him and would come over and ask me about his calendar. And I would have to explain to them every time, these are people that I saw every day for 4 years, that I was not his assistant. I was, in fact, a technical writer with degrees in what I did, and I had a specialized set of skills that I was using, and they did not involve keeping his schedule. Oh, man. Oh, man, that is... I did not know that about... yeah, I always forget about Jack Ruby. I don't know why. Maybe because it just was like, when you learn about JFK's history, like in school, you learn about what's his name? The guy who actually did the deed from the book depository, and my brain keeps going John Wilkes Booth, and I know that's not right. But I believe he also had 3 names. Yes, thank you. Oswald. And it kind of like, and then you always learn that like then Oswald was ended by Ruby, but my brain just cuts off at that's the guy who caused Lyndon B. Johnson to become president, and the whole secondary thing that happened just does not live in my head. I should look up a book. That's what I should do. I should find a good book. I'm going to write her name down too and see what I can find. Dorothy. Yes. So if you are just popping on, hello. Trish and I are talking about JFK and conspiracy theories. And we don't go into the conspiracy theories, just that they exist. And I am working on a sweater. And this is the Big Bow sweater from In a Weave Crochet 2008. It's linked in the description if you want to look at it. And I am using a beautiful cotton merino blend that dyes out so it looks kind of like neon lights. I really like it. It's super soft too. Yeah, I love a good mid-century investigative journalist, because it was this weird niche that women could go into outside of sort of the expected careers. No, I did not get this from Hobby. This is Juniper Moon, which you can get in a lot of places. I got this at Charlotte Yarn in North Carolina when we were visiting family. I just went in to see what they had, and I got this blue because it looked cool, but there's like a gold like this, there's a pink, and then they also do a version of the shadows where it's lighter colors with a white background. So kind of a film negative effect. But it is not inexpensive. It was, I think the sticker's still on here. Yeah, so it was $25 a skein. And so it is not inexpensive, but it is lovely and totally worth it. Oh yeah, so that's a good question, Trish. So asking, is that yarn company safe to order from? So what I've been doing every few months is just going onto Reddit and typing knit picks into the search bar and just seeing what comes up. And I haven't seen anything new. nobody has. There have been shipping issues and fulfillment issues, but there have not been any further reports of the infestation. So hopefully that means that it's fully under control and they got a handle on it and it's not going to be a problem in the future. I would love if I check back in a few months and there's still nothing else, because I mean, between their not wanting to admit anything, and then also you have to be in a certain circle on the internet to even know it was a problem. Lots of people are buying from Nitpicks for the first time probably right now because it's the new year. And so hopefully it stays calm. I use their yarns all the time. I would do huge orders. I actually just finished, I think I finally ran out of Nitpicks yarn on, I was making an apron. I bought the yarn to make the apron, and I think that is the last Nitpicks yarn that was in my house. And my last order with them was late May or early June of last year. So that's, and I mean, I rotate projects. I'm using different yarns all the time, but I had enough in my house. I had it left over so that here I am, at the beginning of January, having finally got through it all. Yeah. That was before the move. That was before we knew we were moving. It was 3 weeks after that we found out that I got the job when we were moving. And then it was, well, how much of this yarn can I make into things before we move? And so I got a lot of stuff made, and which is nice because now my backlog for the channel is very, very healthy. And it's going to get healthier when I film tomorrow. Because I think it's 3 I have left to film on finished projects that I can then go and edit and put up on the channel. But I can actually give you guys a preview because I have one of them right here. This is a rug from the 60s, and I basically used the exact same colors, or as close as I could, because I showed it to Sean and I was like, hey, what colors do you want this in? And he's like, I like those colors. I'm like, okay, fine by me. And yeah, so this is just ripple stitch around and around, and you do increases at each end of the where am I? Here and here, basically you're doing increases on either side of the final stitch at the corner, and that's how you increase it out. Yeah. So, and it was originally meant to be a bathroom rug, so it's kind of small, and hilariously, I thought it was going to be a living room rug, but it was too small because we have a large amount of living room now. But it's perfect in front of the stove. That's where it lives now when it's not up here to be filmed. Yeah, so it's an oval, but it's a pointy oval. But I made it out of, what did I use? Oh, I used Hobby XL, their Fuzzy Day. So it is very fuzzy. And now it's been washed, so it's super loose. That's what I love about that. I think they're actually discontinuing the Fuzzy Day, which is too bad because it's really nice to work with, and the moment you wash it, it's already soft when you work with it, but then you wash it and it just drapes. So yeah, that's one of the things I need to film. Yeah, it is kind of that shade. It's kind of a marquee shape. Yeah. Marquess. I never know if you pronounce the S. That actually, I did that shortly after we moved here, and we had it in the kitchen, and I was going to film it, and then Bean decided she had to pee on it. So then we washed it, and I was like, well, I'll put it in the office so I can record with it, and then it's taken this long. So, and then I have another rug that I taped all of that. Taped. I was born in the 80s. We used to tape things. Yeah, Bean has decided our old place was about 800 square feet, all one floor. Yeah, like, and everything I make has Bean's hair in it. Like, even if you can't see it, it's there. You would think a short hair with no undercoat does not shed, but that is a lie. Probably, actually. Yeah, I got a little bit on me right now. Because we were on the couch earlier. Yep. Here's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's all on my cuffs. But yeah, I did make another rug for the living room that is still too small, but I'm leaving it down there because she likes having little rugs to sleep on as well. So I just sort of, I'm like, I'll just make a series of small rugs. But she went over to it. She was all hyped up. She had not signaled to go out whatsoever, and she peed on it. Yeah, I have plenty of natural fibers in my acrylic projects too. That is very much the mood. But yeah, so we washed that one, and it came out in one piece, which is good because you make it in individual squares. So I'm glad my sewing held up. But yeah, she'll just occasionally, when she gets something new like that, get territorial on it once, and then look at you like I've never done anything wrong. How many pets do you have, Trish? This is a bulky weight. And I think it was a J hook. I think it was a 6mm. Something to look up. I almost forgot. It is actually all worked back loop only. Oh my God, 3 cats and a golden? You are brave. That's so much hair. One of my very dear friends is a golden, and I get occasional just brushed the dog, and now I have a second dog photos. I am sure they are well loved. Even if it would be easier if you could just vacuum them. Drop my phone. I love Goldens. I thought my grandmother had a golden, but apparently she has just a yellow lab. Yeah, right? Like, honestly, if somebody was spinning their golden's hair, or, I mean, any dog with enough hair, I would buy that. I would try it. Like, it's something to do with it. And I mean, honestly, that's what we do that's how we get Angora when it's rabbit based. It's just the shed off the rabbits. So we have people who know exactly how to do it. I actually need to find a good Angora. Yeah. Yeah, like right now, it like, because you just need a nice soft yarn. Because like, it's cozy yarn. And then you just have a nice cozy blanket that just drops on you so perfectly. Like, oh, love it. Oh, I can actually, you know what? Hold on just a moment. I might chug a bit because I'm going to Free Vintage Crochet because it's where I found it, and I never know how many ads it's going to give me. I'm willing to look at every one of them. Yeah, I just heard my fan click on higher because I went to Free Vintage Crochet. Oh, Lord. Okay, let's see. Where is it? Aha! Found it. There we go. Close that. I think it could make a really good wrap or a shrug. It's just like you just gotta make it long enough to pin on you, you know? I mean, it's kind of a pointy oval. Let me clear some space. Okay, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for you here. Here we go. And yeah, it's originally a bathroom set, so I actually had enough to make the rug, and then I was gonna just use the pattern for the toilet seat cover to make a little blanket for Bean. But then when I realized the rug wasn't gonna be as large as I thought, I stowed the other yarn, but I have found a project for it now. So the cedar chest is full. I've done some stocking. Oh, it did not copy correctly. Hold on. All right, let's try that again. Let me see. Okay. That new link is the correct link. But yeah, so I found a bulky weight bag pattern that I think I'll have just enough from using the remains of what was going to be the other rug. Yeah, I really like that. Like, that's one of the things I really liked when I was looking at the sweater design was the buttons and then just that gigantic bow. And it just, it feels very 1930s. Like, those are two things that I see a lot in 1930s patterns. Yeah, I know, it's super retro. I love it. I got a big laugh because I love that pattern is honestly, pink towel bathrooms never should have gone out. Pink towel bathrooms always look great when, you know, someone does a reno but like leaves the pink tile bathroom. Now, seafoam tile, that just might be because that was what the one in my house looked like growing up, and so that might just be a personal beef, but like, I love a pink tile bathroom. Yeah. I don't know, I think it's because it's so it just adds a little bit of warmth, you know? It's all, yeah, like, if it's in good shape and it's colorful, I will leave it alone for as long as I can. Especially with color nowadays. Color nowadays in interior design, it seems like, is seen as more like, oh, add a little interest. And I'm like, no, the whole house. The whole house will be in color. Oh, 1959 California. Yeah. Oh, I bet there's a lot of fun details in that house. Oh. Yeah, I think this house was built around 1910. And unfortunately, there's white paint over several details, but I might try to remove a little bit of it here and there just to see what's underneath it, because like there are original doorknobs and little stuff like that like if I take the paint off, it's probably not going to be a big deal. But we do not own this house, so want to be careful about what I do with anything besides putting nails on the walls. Because these are like the old plaster walls, and I tried to put thumbtacks in, and the thumbtacks broke, which was very funny. And actually, setting up the art wall, that one, was a huge pain because the chimney is behind there. It doesn't work, so it's covered up. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Oh god, the avocado green of the 1970s. Yeah, you saw that in a lot of college apartments in my day. Like, you'd move into the college apartment and they'd be like, okay, it's small, they're old appliances, but they still work and they're all avocado green. Sorry, what's a 3mm hook? Yeah, that rusty brown copper for the fridge. And oh, we've got several. Hi, people. Hello. We're talking old housing decor situations. Oh, brand. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. The 3M hooks. We're talking about all of this you see behind me is old house. So discussing how thumbtacks have no chance. And it's all nails where, yeah, we do have some of the 3M hooks. The one on the front door that we had the Christmas wreath on, very funnily, I took off the wreath, which weighed nothing, and it was like a little tiny hook. And most of the hook came off with it. So at least, it's down. And it was on glass, so it couldn't tear anything up. But yes, so hello, darlings. I am working on a sweater. And Trish and I have been keeping each other company and figuring out if anything weird happens when I go live. So there was some pixelating and stuff earlier, but we seem to have fixed that. I don't know how. I didn't do anything. But that's thanks. So Trisha's saying you have such a nice eclectic background. I try. Some channels are so loaded up with yarn walls. There were so many yarn walls, and like, here's the thing: instant visual interest, totally get it. But I always wonder, are they using any of it? Because like I'll watch people sometimes, and I never watch them in order or anything like that. But if I click through a few, I'm like, I don't see any differences in the yarn stash. Are you moving the yarn stash? Is it? And I know there's been a couple of videos I've seen recommended to me of people who are like, I got really good at stashing yarn, but not using yarn, and I really need to use some yarn. And so their goal for this year is to get through a bunch of what they have. And I think that's awesome. I think some really fun stuff's going to come out of that. No, all my yarn is either in the cedar chest, which is pretty full right now, or it's in one of my buckets. This is going to be another sweater. This is going to be a short sleeve sweater. This is what I'm working on right now. I did see someone in one of the crochet communities on Reddit post she had reorganized her yarn stash using some shelves. And she was like, I have this much because I crochet professionally. I'm like, yes. Yeah, like my goal is that everything I buy, I know where it's going. Because I spent years going, oh, that's a beautiful yarn, but it's, not inexpensive. I'll just buy one skein so I can play with it. And then I never did anything with it because it wasn't quite enough for a hat. I also didn't want just a bunch of hats. I would have a little too much left over after hand warmers. I didn't want to throw out any extra. And so at some point, I don't remember when, I started just holding on to like going, okay, what is it for? How much of it do I need to complete this project? And that's just worked a lot better for me. Even in the case of like this bucket, this is a size 20 thread, and this was going to be a blouse. And then when I started doing the decreases, I discovered my repeat count was off. I don't know when it happened. And the only way to fix it would have been to pull all the way back most of about half a skein. But I would have had to completely restart it. So what I did was I put it down because I was mad at it. And then I found a collection of like collars that is about the same amount of thread. So I'm going to do that instead of that top because I still don't know what I went wrong with it. Yeah. Yeah, this is size 20. So this is here. Here we go. Because I have a size 3 here. So I know that's not size 3 is about a light fingering. It can you can replace it with like a light fingering quite a bit. Same with size 5 thread. But I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, that's the difference. So the blue is the 20. The orange is the 3. I actually just ordered, because I do a lot of thread projects, and I actually just ordered a book of yarmulke designs so that I have some very small thread projects to work on instead of always making something rather large. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Because like it's, you learn the basic shape and how to build it, and then there's a bunch of different patterns. I just wanted like dinosaurs around the rim, flowers, all kinds of stuff. But I really do love thread crochet. I really come to really enjoy it. Oh God, cotton from the 80s. Is it Aunt Lydia's? Yeah, I have. This bucket is entirely full. So in my experience, I have subbed in size 3 or size 5 thread for fingering weight before and always had really good results. It's like right now, the dress that I'm working on. Oh, that's interesting. The dress that I'm working on in size 5, the measurements are actually a little bit larger than what's given in the pattern, because and I think that's because the original yarn, it was Maneuver Velveine, which is it was kind of a slightly fuzzy fingering weight, and so I'm wondering if the difference is that it worked up a little bit smaller. But also, it's a pattern from the 1930s. Any extra space I can put into that thing, that's good for me. Yeah. So I do find that you can sub them out, and like if you prefer to if it's not socks or it doesn't need a lot of stretch, I think you could probably sub in a 3 or a 5 for a fingering weight pretty easily and get similar results. But socks, you want them to be able to stretch. If you're making something that's meant to be very close fit to the body in a fingering weight, you're going to want to use whatever yarn combination is recommended in the pattern. So if it's like, wool with a little bit of elastic or nylon to give it that stretch, I always try to remember that when I'm picking out what I'm using, so that I have a couple of projects that I made and then I put them on and they don't fit right because they don't stretch the way they're supposed to, because I used generally like 100% cotton or 100% wool when it needed a little bit of elasticity. Okay, so you've got like that's like a 1980s dish cotton. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with Lillian cream. In this house, we love and respect Lillian cream. Well, and the thing I really liked about Nitpick's Dishy was that it's Lillian cream because it's all dish cotton, but when you washed it, it came out a little bit softer. And so that's one of the reasons I liked using Dishy for like occasional sweaters and shorts, is because it was great for that. So now I got to go find a new dish cotton because of my lifelong grudge against Nitpicks. But I'll figure something out. So my advice, if you want to do more thread crochet, whether yeah, it's not mercerized. So mercerized, that's the shininess. So dish cotton is not mercerized cotton, and it's in the mid-century it was luster sheen. That was one of the ways they referred to it, and it just meant that we did this extra thing that made it shiny. And so dish cotton has never had that. But dyeing processes have improved, which is why you can use dish cotton to do things that you can use dish cotton for clothes now, and they can keep a better look to them over time than they used to, because older dish cotton was, it was not as fancy, I guess. But yeah, collar patterns, if you're looking to try out smaller weights of thread, collar patterns and cuffs can be a really good place to start because they're fairly small. They're still going to be somewhat time intensive because, thread. But Antique Pattern Library has just tons of booklets of like nightgown yokes, collars, cuffs, dicky. Well, they called them vesties, but dickies basically. So like just, you had a neckline, it covered the front of you. You went out in your suit jacket, nobody knew. Before we had air conditioning, we found ways to wear the most minimum amount of clothes. And you can find a lot of those calling for 30 weight thread, which is one of the easiest smaller sizes to still easiest ones to find. Sorry, I was listening to myself talk. Oh, you want, yeah, like the free, hold on. I can get you just a moment. So Antique Pattern Library, the organization on Antique Pattern Library is a little messy, but I mean, it's an enormous archive of not just crochet, but knitting, embroidery, tatting, like basically anything that you can think of in like a fiber arts sort of way. Yeah. So here's, hold on, I gotta find there we go. And so here's all the collar patterns on Free Vintage Crochet, and they should have the weights listed. And then I will drop you, I'm going to just give you the main page for Antique Pattern Library. In case you want to look at everything they have. Like, it's such an impressive archive, and it's I just made a month or two ago, I actually just made something from one of their books that they had that you'll see, should be in February, should be the video. It's a tunic from the 1920s in filet crochet that should be coming up in if not the first video of February, one of the February videos. I have to get a couple of photographs to finish it, which was very annoying. And I will drop And I'm updating the description now so you can find these links later. Just a second. There we go. Copy that. All right. I updated the description so that the antique pattern library and then the colors page are both there. Oh wow, you've got some of your great grandmother's stuff. That's amazing. 1940. I love stuff like that. I love when people get a hold of that. Neither of my grandmothers were my grandma on my mother's side, who is still with us, she was a sewist before and after everything else. She was very, very talented. Could probably still do it today if she wanted to. And then my grandma in Kansas, the one who taught me to crochet, she tried to teach me all of sort of the household arts. So knitting, crochet, sewing, embroidery, cross stitch, and the only thing that stuck was the crochet. But crochet was not her particular love when it came to, making stuff. She preferred to embroider and sew. So I don't have like the family history via thread in my house. Yeah, I mean, I do have Sean's grandmother passed away last year, and then his grandfather followed shortly after, and so we actually have several of her tablecloths and like shelf liners that have the embroidery in them. And we have several of them in use in the house because that's what she always did with them, and they're not in a state that they need to be protected. They can still be used because they're just, cotton cloth with the handwork done on them, so they're fairly sturdy. So the tablecloth we have downstairs is the one that I remember from the first time I ever met his grandparents, and I really like it. It's very special. Yeah. And I love, once I started kind of understanding, the point of doilies and these little shelf liners and things, it was to make it easier to keep dust off your shit. Once that clicked for me, I was like, oh, that's why they're everywhere. Yeah, but they're also just, so delicate, and it's never, make a doily in, worsted weight. It's always a size 30 thread. So it's this tiny thread, and you're using it so you can put your lamp on it, so that when you're, turning the lamp on and off and you knock some dust off, it falls onto the doily. And then when you are cleaning your house, you wash the doily, put it back. Yeah. And then you get into the lace bedspreads and tablecloths and stuff like you're talking about. And I have several books of tablecloths and bedspreads, but the commitment is just so much. My mom had doilies on all the furniture, and if you knocked one off, she would mention. Well, it's so funny because the chair that I'm in right now is just something we found on Facebook Marketplace, and we were putting it together, and Sean is like, what is this thing? And I'm like, well, that's what they started making after people stopped making anti-macassars to go on the backs of chairs to catch the hair oil. It's no, we made, you would make all of your own things to keep your things nicer because, the furniture you bought when you were married may be the furniture you had when you retired. I don't want to do a whole, we used to build stuff to last, because these are all IKEA shelves behind me. They've been with us for 10 years. Our couch is IKEA because we went through 3 different couches and went back to the first IKEA couch we ever bought. But when all of your stuff is made of real wood, you want to keep it as nice as possible. Yeah. And I have a pattern for an anti-macassar, which, if you don't know, that was what the hair oil was. Is made of macassar oil, was what the hair oil was. Which is why they call them anti-macassars, even though it sounds like a fake word. I have a pattern, and it's like 3 deer in a wood, and I'm actually going to do it in worsted weight to make it into a blanket. And then it will probably be draped over this chair for the dog to enjoy. Yeah. Good. But oh, okay. I think I hiccuped. Yeah, I think I hiccuped there for a moment. It gave me a warning on my. Yep, I sure did. We are not in an alternate universe. It's still me. It's all the same tattoos. But that they would be these beautiful pieces. And on the one hand, it beautifies your home, but it's also a very, like, you're taking those things off on a regular basis to clean them. So, like, they had, like, the reason they were made of cotton is because it wasn't, it's a strong fiber. But also, you know, if you were a woman of certain means who was not working outside the home, you needed something to keep you busy, and new doilies for the house are a way to keep busy. I did not grow up in a family where the women ever had the option to stay home, so sometimes when I look at the old stuff, I'm like, when did you have time for that? And I'm like, oh, right. Some people had the option to stay home. Yep, I am from my great-grandmother. My great-grandmothers on my mother's side were all first-generation Americans who went homesteading in South Dakota and Nebraska. I'm not getting another warning that my connection is screwed, but it may still be hiccuping a little. And then, so all my great-grandparents ended up around Nebraska. My grandmother's from Nebraska. My mother's from Nebraska. My family moved south when I was very, very, very little. I was born in Kansas, but then raised in Arkansas. And so it's funny because I am extremely Southern, but also extremely deep Midwestern because of where I ended up, but also the family ties, because my Nebraska grandmother moved to Arkansas. That's why we moved to Arkansas, to be closer to her. But like the stories my grandma has of her mother and her grandmother, I'm like, I don't know how you guys did anything but work and sleep. Because, I mean, it's just, farm life has always been a massive undertaking, and, you know, yeah, and like my grandma grew up in town, so like they weren't like full-time farmers or anything, but like I said, her parents homesteaded and then moved to town, and then so she was raised in town. But even then, the town was, there wasn't a whole lot of town at the time. They had to, my great grandpa was the roadworks manager and actually basically built all the roads in their town, like, or not personally, but got the work done on them. Oh man, yeah, you've got that Virginia mountain background. That's, I would say that is tougher than Nebraska. Like, at least if you get lost in Nebraska, you can pick a straight line and walk. And eventually something will happen. But you cannot say the same in the mountains. Like, the number of people who have disappeared off like the Appalachian Trail because you walk off trail 100 yards and it all looks the same and you don't know how to get back because it's so dense, like the forest and the rocks and the terrain. Like, it's, I grew up in the Ozarks, which are much kinder. Like, I grew up in smaller mountains with less shit on them, let's say. And now I'm in a city in the Alleghenies, so I don't have to worry that I'm going to wander off a trail. Especially the kind of hiking that takes you. Okay. Oh yeah, I know the car. Yep. Well, but I'm gonna try to make it to 9 o'clock. That's my goal. Is these lives will probably be a couple of hours, and probably for the first couple, do them about. Yeah, I was just pausing on that one. I was just saying that I'm gonna Blue Ridge Mountains defeats Nebraska, no question. That is a tough area. But yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, it might be windy out. I'm not sure. But yeah, my plan for these lives is probably 2 hours. I think 2 hours is a good amount of time. They'll be on the fourth Fridays every month. And I'm going to start with gonna probably start at 7 for the first couple and then move the time around a little bit, because being East Coast means that I'm done with my day earlier than most people. So try to make a little space for people who are in the other time zones in the United States to be able to hop on and talk. I have been through Iowa twice, just driving through, but yeah, I think cornfields is the best way to describe Iowa. And windy. That's the other thing I know about Iowa. It's windy. It was very windy both times. Did we drive across? We did, because we stayed in Council Bluffs, so we did go across Iowa coming out here. You'd think I would know that. Setting up an upcoming, yeah, I was just looking at that. Are tomatoes like a danger sign of a place to live? Oh, tornadoes. I read that as tomatoes. Yeah, I grew up around tornadoes. I don't miss them. I did all the stupid shit you do when you grow up in tornado country. I've stood outside when they've gone by. I've I've gone to the McDonald's to get a snack as the sky's getting darker. Um, we once drove to the mall, and they said if you stay, you have to get in the shelters, and so we left because we're like, it's not bad enough out there for it to get bad yet. We can get home, and we did. Um, but I've been out of tornado country for a long time now, and uh, I'm doing great. Although I do like that we're back in thunderstorm country. I've missed thunderstorms. I'm trying to think if I've been to Tennessee. I may never have gone. We were like 4 hours from Memphis where I grew up, but my parents went a few times to see bands, but I don't think I ever went. No, wait, we drove through. I mean, that's the American story, isn't it? Like, no, I've never been there, but I've been through it. Yeah, we drove through to go on a trip with Sean's family, and on the drive back, we were like way in the mountains, and we came over a hill, and there was an RV engulfed in flames. And the people who clearly owned the RV were out of the RV. They were fine. They were waiting on firefighters, and it was just sitting there on the side of the highway on the edge of a mountain. Fire like 7 feet high. So are you planning to go back to New England after all of the requirements of dealing with that are handled? Like I'm very lucky in that my family is generally pretty healthy. So like my grandmother is 92 but still lives alone, can take care of herself, and my parents are doing fine, and so we haven't had to think about, sort of the long-term plans you sometimes have to come up with because you've got to help take care of someone. No one lives in West Tennessee. Yeah, and moving is like, even a small move is so expensive, and we did a big move, obviously, and we're able to do it, thank goodness, but it was not fun to watch the number in the bank account change like that. But we are out, ooh, 20 grand to get down there. Jeez. We did not spend that much. We tried pricing out, but I mean, part of it was that we tried pricing out movers, and we could not find a reliable long distance mover. So we just decided, okay, we'll get a pod, and then that kind of fell through. And so then we just did it ourselves with a truck. And not the most ideal situation to have to make to have had one thing almost set in place and then have to change it, but I was not going to completely rearrange my entire moving plan because they had not clearly communicated how long it would take to move the pod itself. Oh, 2022 moving prices. Yeah, because there was such a boom in moving after that. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. But we are now within driving distance of quite a bit of Sean's family, which was one of the goals of if we were going to move, because we've been talking about maybe moving out of Portland, and because to get to where our families lived from Portland is just, it's intense. Yeah, I'm sure your mom was really glad you could do that. It's not an easy decision to make either. I mean, you are agreeing to uproot a lot of yourself to take care of someone. Um, so Sean's family, he grew up in Southwest Missouri. I grew up in Northwest Arkansas. We were about 2 hours from each other. So our families are from the same basic area, and but his mom and some of his cousins and an aunt live in North Carolina, and his mom uh, his mom had planned for years after, because she was the one kind of doing the day-to-day caretaking for her parents, who were very healthy but still, in their 90s. And she had decided ages before she even was the one caretaking that her plan when she retired was make sure that they're taken care of, help them out as they get older, and then once they pass away, move in with family in North Carolina. And so that's where she is now. She was moving to North Carolina. I think she got there like 2 weeks before we got to Pittsburgh. It was all in flux at the same time. Your mom being independent until 94, almost 95, like that's what my family's like. My grandma, who is now 92, she lives alone. My parents do cook for her, but that's more that she doesn't like to cook and my dad loves to cook than that she can't do it herself. And then she took care of my great-grandparents, who moved in with her when they were 92 and 94, I think. And then they passed away a few years later. And then my grandpa had an older sister who lived on her own until she was 98. And Aunt Margaret finally, at 98, had a slip, messed up her shoulder, and the rule had been they would let her live alone as long as she didn't fall. And so once she fell, Grandma said, "You're moving in with us." Aunt Margaret hated every single day of having to rely on anyone else and having to share space like that, and I loved her. Great old lady. And she passed away at 100. So taking care of, making the decision to take care of long-lived family is something I'm familiar with. And honestly, technology has made it easier in a lot of ways, like FaceTime. And I mean, especially I imagine when you probably started talking to the doctors before you moved down there, and being able to just immediately get a hold of them must be such a relief. Yeah. Yeah, my grandma walks her dog, her big yellow lab, a couple times a day. She walked to the post office every day. She goes down to the store every day. She can't drive. Her eyes aren't good enough, but she still gets out and walks. And there are people who will tell my mother, "I saw your mother walking. She's not wearing a very good jacket." My mom's like, "You want to tell her what to wear? You be my guest." And the answer is Grandma's wearing layers, so mind your business. Oh, so you were an RN and then you had to take care of your mom who didn't want you to. Oh. Isn't that always the way? It's the people with the background that can really be helpful, that have possibly the more stubborn people in their lives. But, oh, yeah, I'm sure you guys were locking horns. I I had to learn how to go to the doctor like a responsible person because I do come from. Uh, there are people in my family who are really good at it, and people in my family who are not good at it, and I was not good at it for a long time, but uh, once you start dealing with chronic pain and you actually want it to improve, you have to admit you have to go to the doctor. That was basically what got me to be like, okay, I'm going to have to just get over the fact that I'm going to try to walk this off. Because I was actually really good about going to the doctor if I was sick or thought I was getting sick, but it was other things. And so far, so good. I got my flu shot this year. I have not been sick, uh, even in this very dry air. So, even going into the office on a regular basis, which I haven't done in years, because that's kind of the classic one, I think, is, you start a new job, you get around a bunch of new germs, and then down you go. Um, oh, yeah. Yeah, like rural areas, especially in this region of the country, have such a hard time with healthcare for anything outside of the basics. And even then, that's not always possible. And I'm very lucky that my parents, they they live in a very small town. I actually live outside of town, but they do have uh, they have a doctor's office in town, which for a very small town is sometimes not even possible. And then they're also very close to several high quality hospitals should they be needed. Um, but the the last time they had to go, my dad got the eyelid lift you get when you have hooded eyes and you get old and they drop. So that was like the last thing anybody needed outside of basic medical care. So they're doing pretty all right, but they are up there. Fountain Thread was called America's Best. I think I've seen it wandering around sometimes. I have some patterns from I think it's American Fine, Fine, and I wonder if maybe they rebranded at some point to America's Best, or two completely different companies that happen to make the same kind of stuff and have similar branding. Oh wow, Kmart. Oh wow. Yeah, that is a very old fashioned sentence. I got the yarn from the Kmart. Actually, maybe it was like Kmart's store brand. That could be, yeah, because America's Best, that might be like a store brand yarn back when that was more common. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think about the only yarn nowadays that I know of that's still like got the Made in USA label is Red Heart. And they, but I mean, Red Heart's been around in some form or another since, I think I've got stuff going back to 1910. That sounds about right. Hold on. I'm looking up that America's Best real quick. No. Oh, right. There is an eyeglasses. America's Best Contacts is ruining my results. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's interesting. So, Red Heart Yeah, it might. Maybe it's just the Super Saver. I think the Super Saver still has the Made in USA label, and maybe that might be the only one now. Honestly, um, oh no way. Was that the label you had? Yeah, that's what I'm looking at on Ravelry as well. Uh, that's so funny. Peaches and cream. Yep. Um, the original Peaches and Cream came out of, I think it was bought up by Red Heart or by Lily's. Because Peaches and Cream is now, I think that's what they call the Canadian version of Sugar and Cream. I think that's right. It's funny. It's the current version of Peaches and Cream. Like there are people who absolutely hate it. Like I found that out by complete accident. Yep. Yeah, it's the Walmart version, and it is and it's also, it may have previously been used for like the international version. Yeah. Um and before Lily's was Lily's, they were Enterprise. Because I have a whole book of pot holders and stuff that it's Lily's Enterprise yarn, and it's dish cotton, and it's cute pot holders in fun shapes. Like I'm kind of hoping something that happens in the next few years in like fiber arts in general is that I think we're starting to see a little more of people finding like the really cute uh, hot pad patterns that are like dogs, cats, fish, whatever. I would love to see that come back. I would love to see more of that. Uh, like, I'm seeing more towel toppers, which is great. And now we need to get back to weird. Uh, I need more fun pot holders. Our kitchens deserve life. Although it's so funny, we have so many pot holders, and I swear Sean only uses the same two over and over somehow. Oh man, old crochet hooks. I love them. But I love that embroidery floss is in there as well. That's I have to wonder if she did a lot of thread crochet with embroidery floss. Oh wow. Oh yeah, she was using that for something. My mother uh, does embroidery, does cross stitch, and I don't know how much thread she has, and I'm afraid to find out. Yeah. Uh, I've definitely gotten a few. Oh, you know, here's a bag of everything that somebody I knew used, and uh, it's 4 crochet hooks in sizes I never use, and uh, yarns of different levels of quality. But it's so hard when someone is trying to give you that because they want you to, kind of carry on the enjoyment of the craft. To be like, I don't need that part. You can. keep that part. Notebook holds in the book. That's interesting. I saw something the other day. Someone was showing, like, you can get. I have never done any actual embroidery stitches. I did some counted cross stitch as a kid, and I recently tried to learn French knots because it's the way they have you like finish eyes on old toys. Because of course, back in the day, you could assume that everybody knew how to do a French knot. I've not managed to pull off a successful one yet. It's kind of comical. Yeah. I do like counted cross stitch. I like when it's stamped out like that. I've tried to do like cross stitch where you follow the chart, and it's so funny how much it annoys me that I would have to switch thread for a single color for 2 stitches, but if crochet asks for that, that's totally reasonable to me. French knots to me are sort of like I think this stitch is called the bullion stitch, and you yarn over it like 7 or 8 times, and then you're supposed to pull your hook through every single one of those loops at once, so you get this like really tall, thick stitch, and it looks so cool. And I have never pulled it off. And I think one of the reasons I'm forever mad at it is because I first got introduced to it on a pattern for a baby hat. And it was like, this stitch is actually really easy. And I'm like, what world are you living in? Oh, I bet you got cute ones. I love the Hirschner kits. I never buy them. So it's funny to say that I love them, but like their crochet kits, like, they go all out. They try to come up with a bunch of different options, and I really appreciate that. There was a blanket I was wanting to make, and the kit's not on the website right now, so I'm kind of hoping it comes back in now that the holidays are over. Like maybe they shuffled them around a little. Because I do want to get a few of their blanket kits for like next Christmas. And the sooner I have them, the sooner I can get them in the rotation. Because like, I feel like those would be really good, have to sit in this meeting and listen projects. I could be totally wrong, but there was only one way to find out. Oh yeah, I bet those are some passed down patterns she had for those pillowcases. I think that's why I love all the old stuff, like the old hope chest sort of stuff. Like you were probably making something that was in her hope chest if she did one, or like if she made linens for the house. Yep, the iron-on patterns. I actually have a book of just like needlework, and so it's got some knitting, some crochet, some embroidery, and it comes with these huge sheets of what the embroidery pattern is, and it instructs you to lay down a piece of iron-on paper, trace the shape you want, iron it on, and then do the embroidery. Oh, there's all kinds of surprises in that house, I'm sure. Having now gotten my hands on a big cedar chest, big recommend. Although I do need to get mine oiled. I did a little, well, maybe not oiled, because oiling is like one of the things you do if you want to keep things if you want to keep your cedar working for you, you can also sand it. But also, apparently, the reason all the sachets were lavender back in the day. Oh, that's isn't junk. Yeah, she knew. But the reason all the sachets you would make had lavender in them was because lavender is another thing that keeps insects away. So if you don't want to oil or sand sand your cedar chest, you can just have the sachets in there and they will do the job. Oh, I bet there's all kinds of beautiful stuff from your mom just waiting for you to find it again. Like, I do wonder what I'm gonna find. My grandma who is still with us is very judicious about kind of getting rid of clutter, so I don't know what she would have considered clutter. If she has any old patterns or anything she might have held on to, because she was very talented seamstress. Yep, lavender sachets. And like, luckily, I also like the smell of lavender, so never a bad thing. Oh, that's so cool that you had her label so you knew. I love that. My great aunt before she passed had me look at her china cabinet and pick out something that I liked. And then she didn't pass for another 20 years. And so I have a couple of little glass pieces from her that I picked out when I was like 10. And then she also gifted me a 2-volume copy of Les Mis that she had from 1917. I have the relatives you never knew. I have, my family does that as well. I have a fountain pen that belonged to, I think, my great-grandpa, my mom's great-grandpa. Yeah, and they're in perfect condition because she was an English teacher. And so all of her bookcases had the closing doors on them. Although probably less of an English teacher and more Nebraska dust will get everywhere if you don't have doors on. Yeah, and so they're just, it's very weird to have them. And I looked up how to care for them, and it was like, treat them like slightly more gently than you would any other book. So they are laid out on the hutch downstairs on a couple of doilies. Speaking of doilies. And it's, but yeah, so I have a fountain pen from my mother's great grandfather. I have a wax seal stamp from somebody. I'll have to ask my mom again. I don't remember. But yeah, I have actually I have wine goblets from my great grandparents that were given to me on my wedding day. They were very hard to use because I don't want to break them. Yeah. All right, we are at 9:00. Thank you for keeping me company. It was so good to talk to you. And to the mystery person who is also here, thank you for hanging out. And if you're watching this back later and you showed up for a little bit, I was happy to see the number go up, and I hope you had a good time hanging out a little bit, and that we'll see you soon. Oh, an old mantle clock. That's awesome. All right. Who knows what will come up next time? So going to be Fourth Fridays and a couple of hours. Going to start at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will try to put up reminders during the weeks that they're going to happen so you know. And thank you so much. And yes, Trish, you have a great weekend too, darling. I will talk to you soon.